Sup team, I don't have much time. Ferb, oh god, it's Ferb. Ferb just killed everybody, man. I mean, everybody. Sweet Jesus, Lord in heaven, he got DISBELIEF virus. He got my fucking toilet. He even got Ashton. Who's gonna explain the joke now? Why? 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 My phone, no. Ferb. Ferb, what do you want me to do? You've burned my house to the ground! What? You want me to what? You just want me to talk about Dusttale? Oh. Oh. What? Why the hell didn't you say so? It's easy. I could talk about Dusttale all day, baby. Ooh, thanks, Ferb. So I guess, with that, I say again, sup team, today, we're getting dusty. Really, really dusty. I feel an excruciating need to talk about Dusttale this Halloween because, oh my lord, especially in the modern day here, we have been cooking with fire. I think it is super fascinating that we're cooking this hard with Dusttale out of all AUs. Don't get me wrong, I love Dusttale, but there was a good period of time where it got totally, utterly clowned on, and trust me, we will get into why. As of 2025, we have been making the coolest shit with Dusttale that I have ever seen, putting Dusttale back in the spotlight for many people. I want to try and figure out why this is, because again, it's just really fascinating to me that we have switched up on Dusttale out of anything in the Undertale AU sphere. So, this is the cultural revival of Dusttale. Mic drop, boom. First, we need to get a bedrock foundation for the original Dusttale, not Evan Streblow, the original Dusttale, so you guys can know what we warped into the version that people didn't like for a little bit. And I say warped because the original Dusttale, known as the ask-dusttale Tumblr blog, truly was just way different than Evan Streblow. Don't worry. Don't worry. We will talk about my memories. Just not yet. Before I get into Ask Dusttale, I just gotta admit that I am not going to go nearly as in-depth as the GOAT Mini-Muta did 9 months ago. Please, please, go watch their video. I actually debated making their video Dust, Deep Dive into Dusttale, required reading for this one. Seriously, it is such a good video. Mini-Muta has such a good channel, by the way. If you're interested in classic Undertale AUs, I highly recommend you check out her channel. But anyway, getting off topic, sorry. Ask Dusttale. Let's go over Murder! Exclamation point, Sans. That's what Dust Sans is actually named, by the way. He's not even called Dust Sans, just Murder Sans. That's how you'll know from here on out if I'm talking about Ask Dusttale or post Evan Streblow. If I'm on about the blog, it'll be Murder. If I'm on about today, it'll be Dust. Got it? Cool. The majority of Murder Sans' story is pretty much how you all remember it, I'm sure. Sans tries, for hundreds of resets, to stop a genocidal human to no avail, and thus resorts to farming other monsters for LV. Out of desperation after dozens of resets, he eventually targets those he cares about after deliberately avoiding them, deluding himself with the thought that it was better if he killed them than if the human did. In the end, he becomes almost as bad as the human. Almost. This is where the original Murder story deviates a little bit from what we know today. This is because, in the beginning, Sans actually did try to negotiate with other monsters, seeing who would help him. This didn't last all too long, though, because he needed to get strong enough as quickly as possible to kill the human before they reset, because he knew he would lose all his progress. Even throughout this entire killing spree, though, Sans actually avoided killing animals, like the dogs, cats, snails, unless if they're caught in the crossfire from any of his battles. And he also pays for all of his food whenever he goes to Grillby's, even though there's a distinct lack of an alive Grillby. And I believe that is something we forgot right on the cusp of the post-Evan Streblow era. There were so many details that got lost in translation about Murder Sans in Evan Streblow's game, so much so that I feel the need to call them different characters, because these little details have seriously been forgotten to time. But regardless, another official piece of lore that I'm sure you all know about is that Murder Sans talks to a phantom papyrus that only he can see. To others, it just looks like he's talking to himself. Creepy. That is actually one of the few details that has been accurately put into the flanderized post-Evan Streblow Dust Sans, derived from Murder Sans. As I just mentioned, a lot of the nuances of his character have been lost to time. I think an even bigger example than him caring about the animals is the official ask-dusttale quote-unquote ending. Now I say that in quotations because I'm only kind of sure if it's the end, but basically, Murder Sans finds a way into Underfell, desperate to be judged. Because who's going to judge the judge if the judge is a goddamn killer maniac? So eventually Fell Sans finds Murder Sans. They fight, but Murder escapes back into Dusttale. Once Fell realizes that Murder is deliberately not letting his attacks hit bystanders. Again, those little things have been forgotten at the time, man. So cool. Fell then goes to Dusttale himself to fix up Murder's wounds from the battle. Fell eventually agrees to be Murder's judge after a few resets, because Murder basically begs him to be, because Murder realizes he's on the cusp of going too insane to ever go back to how things were. Fell agrees, but it's relatively short-lived, because the timeline crashes like the fucking Amazon web servers, and Fell is not able to get back into Dusttale. But once the Dusttale servers go back up, everything goes back to how it was before Fell met Murder. But Fell still remembers and tries to console Murder when he can, and if I'm correct, the Dusttale cycle just continues from there. And Fell might kill Murder at the end to give him eternal rest? I'm not so sure. I'm saying eternal rest straight from Nimuta's video, by the way. I'm assuming that means kill. I seriously can't find information. I'm sure it's on the blog, but I can't find the post where this is about. But, man, it sounds like fan and slop. Okay? But I don't care. There were seriously beautiful details, such as Fell's inclusion in the story, that have been forgotten with time. Now again, I only knew about it because of Minimuta's amazing deep dive. I think that proves my point. All of these types of little details about Murder Sans have been mostly forgotten. But that doesn't mean we've lost respect for the Dusttale Sans character. But actually, I don't think anybody's ever truly disrespected Dusttale, but it definitely had a phase where it was seen as more of a joke. And that is in part thanks to Evan Streblow. It's finally time to talk about Evan Streblow. My memories! What are you doing to my memory? I actually recorded a playthrough of this funny-ass game, like, years ago with my friends, and it was genuinely the funniest shit ever, but I had my mic muted in OBS the entire time for a 4-hour recording, so it was botched and never saw the light of day. But here's this one clip that's funny as hell.
I do.
It's your time to shine, bro.
Yo, we just got done taking a break, bro. I was kind of looking forward to killing them myself.
It's my time to edge. It's my time
right.
to edge. It's
All
my
right,
time to
Tyson
edge.
Bones.
It's my time to
You can turn to
edge. Yeah! Whoa! Yeah! Yes! Yeah!
He's scrapped. What was he dodging this?
Oh!
He's actually.
Yeah! They called me Daddy Phantom. Yeah!
Miss.
Whoa! Ow! I'm giving you head, human! Yeah! I'm gooning, human! I'm gooning!
Are you?
Sans, you're turning me on.
You murderer. What?
Stop it, Sans.
What does that mean?
Sans.
What is the music, by the way?
It's gone.
Just got rid of the music. He's gonna explode now. Yep.
I did it! I did it! Oh!
Stop edging, bro.
I think it's funny that I called it as you swear.
Anyway, Evan Streblow's Dusttale. Now I'm going to call Sans Dust Sans because you'll see that, as I said before, there is a super stark distinction between murder and dust. I've been calling Dust, quote, post Evan Streblow for a reason here. You guys have absolutely seen this game. This is the Dusttale game. Well, not really because it's unofficial, but it's what we got. You know, reality check through the skull. That one. Holy peak. Evan Streblow's Dusttale is basically the entire reason Dusttale was perceived how it was for years since its 2018 release. This is the root cause of the Dust murder split. This is truly where Dust became his own entity for murder, in my humble opinion. In Streblow's Dusttale, Sans is honestly fairly one-dimensional. He goes on a killing spree as one does, but we don't get to see as many nuances that went into murder Sans' original character. Sans kind of just kills and goes nuts. This is where the "I'm not ready yet" and the idea of blending attacks with solid colors came from, and this honestly still defines Dusttale and its derivative AUs today. "I'm not ready yet" honestly is Aura. Aura-pilled line, not even gonna lie to you. Streblow did get some things right in regards to Murder Sans though. As I mentioned before, that would be Phantom Papyrus. After killing Undyne, Dust Sans talks to Papyrus, yet we can't see him yet. That is accurate and cool. It might seem like I'm dogging on Streblow's work here, but I'm really not. This game is such a fun product of its time, and Streblow has moved on since then, acknowledging that this is just his old work. He's made better things now, and it's pretty cool from what I can tell. Please check out his modern works on GameJolt. I think if you go to the Dusttale game page, he posts on there, 'cause that's his page with the most traffic, I'm sure. Just to mention before I forget, even before Streblow's game, there was The Murderer, Red Megalovania, Pokemon for some reason. Really cool shit, really cool, really iconic. I'm assuming that song's playing in the background right now. It'd be kind of stupid if it wasn't, but honestly, there's not much to say about it. You just have to know this song exists before we go forward. I sincerely doubt that you guys have never heard this song. Frankly, it would be absurd. It would be absurd. Anywhoosies, Streblow's Dusttale had profound effects on the Dust sphere. Like I said, most Dust fan games just can't help themselves, and they dip their toes a little bit into the blending solid color attacks, among other things. They've also adapted the general plot beats and writing style of Streblow's game, but especially around 2022 and late 2023, I believe, that style has been put under a lot of scrutiny. I know I said there wasn't required reading in this video, but I cannot lie. I did lie. My video about my views on canonicity and Undertale fan games is honestly required reading for this, because, just letting you know, I am neutral about these things. People, dare I say scholars, looked into Dusttale's writing at that point and really tried to innovate. There was a huge push for the killer not to be Sans, and I believe 2023 is when we tried to make it anyone else besides Sans, maybe at least early 2024. The biggest killer candidate was Flowey. Again, required reading on my canon video. If you watch it, you'll hopefully understand the idea of overcorrection in the canon department, and I believe making Flowey the killer usually ended up being overcorrection. But regardless of how much sense Flowey makes as the killer, it did turn into a pretty widespread concept. Now, there is one take that is more recent than 2023, I believe, but regardless, we have to talk about for a little bit because it's a pretty good example of my gripes with Killer Flowey. Dusttale Brotherly Love. Brotherly Love is a fairly good take on evil killer Dusty Flowey, I can't lie to you. But if I remember correctly, Flowey only becomes the killer in the pacifist route, and Sans is the killer in neutral and genocide. Hopefully I'm not completely wrong, but this feels too complicated for my taste. But regardless, just looking from an outside view in general, it is a really cool in-between for a Dust AU to take. A lot of people stress the killer being anybody besides Sans, so the fact that Brotherly Love is one of the few takes to have an in-between is refreshing in a way. I wish that I remembered more of these takes that tried to make sense during this time. We still kind of do these takes. For example, there's Dr. Megalo in the modern age, but Dr. Megalo, again, is modern. So I want to get into it a little bit later, but I don't think we'll talk about that much. But for now, I want to talk about the next point. I don't know how to smoothly transition into it, but in the modern day, we have started to kind of creepypasta-ify Dusttale. As of the modern age, we've kind of just stopped caring about whether or not Dusttale makes sense, and we've decided just to make shit cool again. This especially rings true in a series of takes that aim to make Dusttale more like a creepypasta, honestly. And 3 takes come into mind here when I think of this. MONSTRE, Lex's take, and David's take. We're going over David first, because, oh my god, it's my favorite. It's fucking peak, dude. Oh my god. Listen to it on SoundCloud. I'll link everything. Hopefully I remember. I think the way to prove my point here with this creepypastaification is just these thumbnails. You gotta look at these SoundCloud thumbnails. Look at Stronger Monsters. Look at Reactivate. Look at your theme. Look at fucking Bob Shop. Bob Shop has Bob randomly becoming a stoner just for the sake of changing things. And I think the biggest example of changing things for the sake of making it feel more like a creepypasta is Gerson having a gun? This one's my favorite for sure. Like, when I see this thumbnail, I vividly imagine some generic creepypasta dialogue for the scene because it's honestly so well crafted. I can imagine on a fandom wiki or something there being dialogue. I walked into Gerson's shop hoping for just something normal. Sans can't get in here, right? But to my surprise, Gerson had a fucking double barrel pointed at my head and wouldn't sell me anything. That type of writing. That type of edgy, just over-the-top writing. David's Dusttale is perfect at achieving that nonsensical creepypasta vibe. It owns it. Now, unlike most Dusttale takes, at least before this creepypasta-fied era, David Dusttale makes Sans a honestly really small player up until the very end of the story. The Snowden quote-unquote encounter, in heavy quotations, silence, introspection, isn't even really a battle theme. Sans has no true encounters until ego death at the very end, I'm pretty sure. And before that, he only shows up in Caddy and Braddy's shop to just intimidate you once more. It is such a cool idea to me, because it builds off of Sans' passive role in Undertale up until the very end in the last corridor. Through this, it also manages to have its own unique story. Take your theme, for example. Every man is just chilling here because Frisk is dead-ass going insane. At least I think so. I don't know the story myself, but I think the incomprehensibility of it all truly adds to that creepypasta vibe that I keep mentioning. Now, that incomprehensibility is something that other modern takes have mastered as well, and I think a prime example is Lex's take. Man, I don't know how to pronounce it, but this one is phenomenal. The current final track, Judge, better be playing in the background right now because, oh my god, oh, it's so good. I'm tweaking, it's so good. This one also has a huge creepypasta vibe to it, in my opinion. Just look at Sans. He's a screwed up version of his beta design, which is such a smart use of it, by the way. Oh my god. Lex is a genius. I don't care if this is glaze. This actually is absolute glaze. But expect a Tory Fox video soon. That's all I'm saying. Expect Tory Fox underswap soon. Stay tuned. But regardless, Lex's take involves a genocidal player resetting so much that the world of Undertale is ultimately forced to bend itself. In this new Undertale, Sans steals and destroys the human souls without anybody even knowing. So the premise kind of becomes like the underground entering a mass hysteria, kind of turning into a murder mystery, like whodunit type shit. It's really cool. And like David's take, Sans also does his deeds in the background, but he's like genuinely seen as an underground criminal here. It's such a cool idea. One of the tracks is called Culprit, for crying out loud. And to further drive home this Sans take being a confident criminal, he's got some of the favorite writing for Dust I've ever read. Nobody would believe you if you told him. Bro, nobody will believe you? Hello? That's raw. That is raw. This OST, which is only 7 tracks long, by the way, as of now, listen to it for sure, but this album has the most unique vibe out of a lot of Dusttale takes that I've heard. I highly recommend you check it out because, again, it's only 7 tracks long. This will not take you long. It's worth your while. The tracks just sound really like, I don't know. I am bad at music-y terms. They sound stereotypically scary. Campy. I think campy's a good word, but some of them also just sound like, I don't know, rough. I guess they just sound rough, and they all manage to still sound intimidating within the context of Sans being in complete control and making your life hell. It's sick. A final take that I want to go over that is really unique is MONSTRE. Tell you the truth, if you only listen to MONSTRE's OST, you'll honestly have zero grasp of the story. I didn't. So to remedy that, I'm going to link this official lore mega thread that I found for information below. But anyway, MONSTRE is an alternate Undertale in of itself that has different brutal rules. Monsters don't dust, for example, but they actually linger on as corpses. And it's under fucking France. You can imagine how scary this is gonna get, alright? The structure of the OST is also really unique compared to other takes because the Dusttale part only begins in Season 3. Season 1 is just like the Undertale equivalent, because this is still like a whole new Undertale. And Season 2 is the bridge between the Undertale part and the Dusttale part. I think Season 2 might have something to do with a mean, grumpy, verbally abusive Grandpa Semi or something, but I honestly might be tweaking. I don't know. It's really cool. I encourage you guys to listen to these tracks as well. Because what I want to talk about is MONSTRE's immaculate vibes. To me, MONSTRE has the most pure aura out of any of the tracks we're describing today, even if it isn't my absolute favorite. It perfectly encapsulates how we're creepypasta-ifying Dusttale, even more so than David's take. Not only do fucked up things happen, obviously, but the entire world is literally changed just because. And that's like what I said about David Dusttale. Bob is a stoner, just to make it feel more off, not off-putting, just off. It's awesome. This MONSTRE is one of the most perfect ways I've ever seen Dusttale be executed. And the music's unique to boot. I mean, that's probably not a shock to you by now. All of the music here has been so unique and so experimental. I don't know which one of the songs I'm playing in the back. I might be playing We All Drown, or I think there's one called Asphyxiation. I don't know. I'll be playing one of them. I could go on and on with more takes, like Stretch's take, but my point with listing these is to show you the common yet fire tropes we have been using to bring Dusttale up to speed. We are still cooking with the old ideas, though, don't get me wrong. Take Dr. Megalo, for example. Alphys becomes the killer in this one. I would talk about Dr. Megalo more, but frankly, I just don't know enough about it. I would not be a reliable narrator. I've seen like a 10-minute dub on TikTok. That's it. Okay? But I encourage you all to check it out yourselves. The art quality is great. Artsy Reen is a fandom goat. You absolutely recognize their art style. Just saying. You've seen how they draw Sans. Regardless, we have done such a good job at restylizing Dusttale. So I guess that kind of makes me wrong earlier for calling Dusttale's comeback a, quote, revival, since the Ask-Dusttale Murder Sans that we knew is long gone. So this is more of a restylization because of how we've taken that flanderized post-Evan Streblow character and used it as a base to make things cooler, rather than the Murder Sans or Mass Dusttale. I hope that makes sense. Just basically we've shaped the modern Dust Sans off of Evan Streblow's mold. Even if I call Streblow's take flanderized, that doesn't mean that's bad. It's just provided a more concrete framework for Dusttale, regardless of how you look at it. And with any blueprint, us architects will continue to improve upon it where we can, sometimes making whole new buildings. Oh my god, I cooked. I don't even think architects work like that, but shit, I cooked. Good job. I don't know where Dusttale's going to go in the future, really. Pretty sure we're going to keep innovating on this experimental style for a good while, but who knows? Maybe we'll circle back to focusing on the official Ask Dusttale blog again. If any of y'all want to make anything based off of that blog, by the way, please make the parts with fell sans. I beg of you, they're so obscure, and they have no right being so obscure. They're actually so cool. That would be the most aura-pilled maxing shit you could possibly do.
Is that good enough for you, Ferb? Are we done here? Are you going to make my roommate pay restitution for my toilet yet?
Outside, birds are singing, flowers are blooming. On days like this, kids like you should be burning in hell. Turn around, kids, hit me a crying. If I have to go back on the colors that I made for you,
Ferb? Ferb, what are you talking about?
go ahead, hit me if you're able. I think you'll just make me dying. You're not gonna win with me. It's a game. You just reset. Come on.
thanks for watching, team. If you're here for the Undertale stuff, you're good. But please subscribe, consider subscribing rather, so you can see more videos just like this. And consider supporting me with channel memberships for $2.99 a month. You'll get shoutouts. I can't promise much else. I've made the mistake of promising much else, and it's just there if you want to support me. I honestly don't really believe in early content anymore. I've kind of shifted on that, so it's just there. It's just there. So now we can get into the weekly reubzzzSeventyDigest. First off, let's go over fan mail. Our first piece of fan mail from today is from Z Nightmare. This guy actually sent me 2 emails under like 2 different emails. I'm assuming this is the one you want to go by, because the other one also has your name in the email. Not that I would have dropped it to begin with, but I'm just asking. But anyway, hey Reub72. There's this AU that people have been downplaying a lot lately. It used to be really popular, but since the creator stepped away, I would take ownership if I could, but they haven't replied, so it's kind of fallen off. It's called Dusttale, or sometimes Murder Sands, depending on who you ask. I've noticed a lot of people misunderstand or downplay the character's abilities and just bully the fans. I just wanted to talk about it and get your thoughts. It's sad to see such a cool AU just get treated like this. Well, hey, this guy predicted the future. I never even announced that I was making a Dusttale video at this point, but this just happened. So, again, I replied to you. I'm gonna reply to anybody. But, yeah, thanks for the mail, brother. Thanks for watching. You're watching this video now, so, yeah, I think you know my thoughts on Dusttale. So cool. Favorite takes are the ones I went over, including Stretch's take. I debated going over Stretch's take, but I think MONSTRE proved my point better, I hope. I also, man, I should have brought up the FDY games, because that's kind of like a product of Evan Streblow, but also the FDY games are like so far out from Evan Streblow that I don't know if I should have made them related or not, so I just didn't talk about FDY. But yeah, FDY games have done a number on his reputation, and I hope I brought him to justice here today. Now these next 2 are from friends I told about the fan mail, so they're low-key goofing around, but this one is from Clorin Skidmore. Parkour civilization is the subject. Thoughts on Deltarune civilization, where you never jump for the princess ribbon. This sounds enticing. Next piece of mail is from Calico Bunny. There's a picture of cheese. It says cheese to meet you. What is your fave Halloween monster? Vampire, Frankenstein, mummy, etc. My favorite Halloween monster. That's actually difficult, but I know it's not out of just your options, obviously, but I would say Frankenstein because of the original book. I've read like the original Frankenstein. I had to read it for AP Lit. And honestly, now that I think about it, I should have used Frankenstein as a fucking comparison for this video. Because modern day Frankenstein is like how Evan Streblow Dust is to Murder Sands. I'm serious. They butchered Frankenstein with the mad scientist trope. It makes me so mad. There's this guy, I think his name's, at least his last name is like Walton or something. And he's actually the first plot. Like the plot goes back and forth between this Walton guy. He's at sea. He's in the North Sea, fucking struggling. And then there's Frankenstein's story. You know, Frankenstein the doctor. The monster's called the monster. And like, especially with the "it's alive" scene, it's like, that's not him being happy he made life. That scene was Dr. Frankenstein being terrified in his bed, seeing that the monster has woken up and looks angry at him from the foot of his bed. And it's not like, it's alive, it's alive. And then he like dashes out the room, goes to the church, hides out at church. And then eventually both the plot lines collide at the end. I could talk about Frankenstein all day. I love old Frankenstein. My absolute favorite one right there. So I seriously do thank each and every single one of you that sent in fan mail this week. Continue to send it to this email, reub72business, or I don't even remember what it is. That's bad. I don't remember my own business email, but it's up there as we speak. Send in fan mail. I'll talk about it in next week's video. yeah, with that, subscribe, consider memberships, $2.99. Sayonara. And the Discord server. Sayonara.